It's time for Speaking of Speaking. Quick tips and tools to take you from stage fright to spotlight. This podcast gives you an inside look from the world of public speaking and speaking secrets you need to be bold from the stage, no matter what business you're in. The host of Speaking, Carl Richards.
Thank you very much, Matt. Episode 25 of the Speaking of Speaking podcast. This is actually not a bad place to land with episode 25 because these are 5 things from my speaker's checklist, and this list keeps getting longer and longer and longer. It probably has about 40 items, maybe 50 items on it, but I'm going to share with you what I believe are the top 5 things you want to do to get ready for your talk. Number 1 is define the purpose of your presentation. Why are you speaking? And it should have something to do with you. A lot of people think your purpose for your presentation is because, well, somebody hired me and that's what they want. That's part of it for sure. The other part of it is, what is it about you? And what is your purpose? What is your defined purpose, period? What's your why? So define the purpose of your presentation. Obviously, as much as it's about you, it's also about what you want the audience to take from it. What is it that you want the audience to learn? What is it that you want the audience to do while you're speaking? So define the purpose of it. And if you need to do some soul searching about it, by all means do that. Do some meditation if you have to. Sometimes it's glaringly obvious what the purpose is, but that's not always the case. Sometimes you have to think about it in a little bit more detail. I've had that happen where I'll say, well, why did they hire me? Okay, I'm an expert speaker, but I'm talking about conflict resolution. That's not my area of expertise, but what is my purpose? Why did they bring me in? Why am I here? And what is it I want the audience to get out of it? And what do I want them to do at the end of it? Define the purpose of the presentation. Know who your audience is. Those things will go together. Who is the audience that you're speaking to? I remember actually doing a conflict resolution presentation back, about 4 years ago. And it was a last-minute presentation that was booked because the speaker that was originally booked unfortunately had to cancel last minute. So they were looking for an expert who could speak, but they were looking for an expert who had some knowledge. So I have knowledge in conflict resolution, a little bit, not a ton, but I certainly knew I could bring that expertise to the table based on what the audience's knowledge and level of experience was with the topic. So from that, I was able to define the purpose and also give the information about what the audience needed to hear or what they wanted to hear or what the meeting planner wanted the audience to hear. I was able to present that. And I actually did it quite effectively. Rather than putting myself in a vulnerable position by sharing information that I maybe didn't have enough of a background in, because again, it was a very last-minute presentation, and I don't recommend stepping into that role where you are giving a talk where you don't have enough experience. Thankfully, like I said, I did have a level of experience and knowledge that I could share, but what I did was I had the audience work in small groups, which allowed them to actually come up with the answers that they needed to then build effective teams and have effective communication, which was then easier to present the findings and then give them the resolutions that they could then take back and hopefully improve their environment. So that's number 1. Define the purpose, know who your audience is, and know what their wants and needs are. Number 2, make sure the presentation follows a logical order. It sounds pretty simple that your talk should have an introduction, some type of content or a body, and a closing, but you would be surprised the number of speakers that get on stage and just spitball and have no focus on where they're going. And when they get to the end, they don't even know how to close. They say, oh, okay, that's it. I'm done. Thanks, bye. That's not a closing. That is not a call to action. Saying bye and thanks for listening is not a way to engage the audience into following up with you or even have the meeting planner follow up with you, or even want to hire you again. So make sure your presentation has a logical order with an introduction, some type of introduction, some type of content. Think in threes, by the way, with your content, and some type of closing or call to action. Number 3, encourage the audience to participate. I also can't believe the number of speakers who will get on stage or get to the front of the room and just spew a bunch of content. They will verbally assault the audience with too much information and leave the audience going, okay, well, I don't know what to do with all of this. If you invite the audience to participate by asking questions, by allowing them to take action, especially at the end, then you will have greater success as a speaker and as a business person. Remember, if you're stepping into the role as an expert who speaks, this will be easier because you'll be able to engage the audience by asking them questions about their level of experience, their level of knowledge, if you position the question the right way. But always engage the audience and encourage them to participate in the talk. I do that all the time. I do it all the time. I'm always asking questions. I'm always getting the audience to put up their hands or do something. And you can do it too. Number 4, practice the presentation. Practice the presentation. I can't stress that enough. And again, you would be surprised at the number of people I have seen deliver a presentation and right at the beginning say that they're really nervous, that they didn't have a lot of time to practice, or they haven't practiced at all, that they are just winging it. Just winging it just doesn't cut it if you want to grow your business by speaking in 2019. It doesn't cut it anymore. So make sure that you practice your presentation. And by the way, by practicing your presentation, I mean practicing your presentation out loud and standing. Some people will just read their presentation to themselves. Others will read their presentation, but they'll do it from a sitting position. When you're speaking, you should be standing all the time, almost all the time. There aren't too many situations where you wouldn't be standing or engaging the audience from the front. And number 5, for getting ready for your presentation, make sure you time it out. Check the timing. I remember when I did my first talk for Mo Mondays, and I thought the timing was 15 minutes. I thought it was 15 minutes. So I timed my talk out to 15 minutes. Then I found out when I got to the venue, it was actually 10 minutes. So I started to panic. If I had done the proper follow-up ahead of time and said, hey, how long is the talk? Oh, it's 10 minutes, not 15. Then I would have felt a little bit more comfortable. But make sure you know your timing 100%. Don't make my mistake. You know your timing 100% and you follow that time. And this is especially true if you are trying to engage the audience using a slide deck. If you're trying to engage the audience, let's say you have 10 minutes of time and 30 slides, it's not going to work properly. It's not going to cut it. It's too many slides. Even 10 slides for a 10-minute talk is too many if you're following introduction, content, and then some type of a closing or call to action. So time it out, though. Time it out. Use a stopwatch or use your phone. Every phone has some type of a timing device or stopwatch now. Use that to gauge the time of your presentation. Number 1. From the speaker's checklist of getting ready for your talk. Define the purpose of the presentation, know the audience, and know what their needs are, what their wants are. Number 2, make sure your presentation follows a logical order with introduction, content, and some type of a closing. Number 3, encourage the audience to participate in your talk. Engage them. Get them active in it. Number 4, practice out loud and standing if you can. And number 5, make sure your presentation is timed out 100%, within a few seconds either side of your allotted time. That's the speaker's checklist for getting ready. If this is something that you want to work on, I have a great opportunity for you. I have teamed with Diana Lidstone. She is known as the Entrepreneur's GPS. She helps ambitious entrepreneurs grow their business. And that's what we'll be doing, is giving you the information you need to speak with confidence and grow rich. Conquer your speaking fears and grow your business, even if the thought of speaking makes you sick to your stomach. May the 10th in Kingston, May 31st in Ottawa. We'll cover the 9 mistakes that might be keeping you stuck, 5 secrets to crushing your speaking fears, 3 outcomes you need to be an effective speaker on and off stage, a step-by-step guide to turning your talk into clients and cash, and much more that day. Price is $5.97. We have a few spots left, so snag one of those last few spots and take the next step to being an expert who speaks and grow your business. I hope today has been helpful. If you ever have a question, drop me a note anytime. Until next time, it's Carl Richards. Get out there and own the platform.
Thanks for listening to the Speaking of Speaking podcast. Fired up about something you heard today? Want to learn more? Be sure to visit carlspeaks.ca. And don't forget to follow Carl on Twitter @CarlRichards72 or join the Facebook group Speaking of Speaking.